Rippers, I'm back. I'm doing a set of videos so that I can put some out. If I do them all at once here like this, I can spend more time out there getting the garden caught up and on track for this year, as well as getting the place looking nice, organized. It's good to be ship shape, right? That being said, one of the things I want to share with you guys today is kind of an overlooked, maybe, a set of things for your kit. Now, this isn't for something. Now, when I say kit, I don't mean in your bug out bag necessarily, or always, or whatnot. I think you should have multiple kits. You should have a box in your car that's your oh shit box that has emergency items in there that can help you and others in any emergency, from a car accident to somebody who's hurt. I even carry Narcan in there in case somebody's overdosing. I carry all kinds of stuff in my gear, right? But I don't carry it all on me. I have different kits in different places because who wants to pack everything around? That's why the one in your car can carry more of the things you don't have to have on you per se than the ones that you may need for an emergency. That being said, a sewing kit, and I thought about that because I was out in Walmart, of course, and some other places, and I saw some sewing kits, and I thought, let's show people the options that are out there of sewing kits. Now, one, if you want, you can, if you have an Army Navy store near you or something like that, they'll probably have something like this called the military sewing kit. So let's take a look at what this has in it right here. So it's got, one nice thing about it is it has a nice little kit that zips, so it'll keep it tidy. You can stuff it in somewhere, and it's got some buttons and some safety pins right there, right? And safety pins, those are a really good thing to have because you can repair gear with them, especially if you're a hiker, camper, hunter, fisherman. Safety pins, especially the heavy duty ones, can get you out of a pinch sometimes. You can even make a hook out of the smaller ones if you wanted to. But you always want a few heavy duty buttons, some safety pins in there. That's a good thing to have. Looks like it's got a pair of foldable scissors, right, for cutting thread with. Now, it might not be as necessary because you got your knife on you and whatnot. Here on the other side, you've got a little bit of thread. Looks like green. That would be a good choice for a military one. And you've got a few needles in there. And that's pretty much your basics, and that's all you really need in your sewing kit, right? So that being said, let's show you some other options. And that keeps it nice and tidy. This one right here, this is meant for the absolute basics, right? You want to keep it light, you want to keep it slim, there you go, right? So, and let's see, at our local Army Navy store, it was $12.95. It's probably a little overpriced. If you watched it on the internet, you can probably order it from, China stand and get it sent over to you, or Amazon, whatever, and get yourself sent in there. But the one thing this doesn't have is the needles in this tend to be a little bit on the light side. So if you go to Wally World, well, you can get yourself, of course, big-eyed needles. It'll make it easier. We talk about gross motor skills and things like that. When you're out there in the environments and you're needing to fix things, the last thing you're going to be able to want to do, especially in an emergency situation, is try and thread that thread through a tiny little needle. So I would recommend getting these large-eyed needles right here, and they're usually a thicker shank too, so they don't break as easy, because the little thin needles they put in here have a tendency to break. They're meant for emergencies. Now, I don't say you have to carry this whole pack, but at least take one of the big and one of the medium-sized ones out and stick them in this kit right here, so you can use these things to upgrade. And these are fairly inexpensive, being from Wally World. They're a few bucks. You can pick that up when you're in there getting your groceries or whatnot. Or like I do, I get my t-shirts because I wipe out t-shirts pretty quick. So that being said, that's a good one. These heavy shank, big-eyed needles. They're called large-eyed needles, right? So that's a good thing to get. They also have a Singer kit like this. If you see this one at Walmart World, I like this because it's got a little kit here. And this is more something you'd have in your car or your bigger bag that has really heavy, almost sail type needles, curved needles that are thick for suturing, for doing sewing up your gear. You got a tear in your jacket, something like that, right? Oh, and later I'll be doing a quick short video on something that's great for those tears in your jacket, so stay alert for that. But this is really good. It has it in a little plastic thing like that. As you can see, you got huge eyes on there, got some curved, got some boat needles, or some sail needles and whatnot like that. That's a great one to have in your big kit. And you could put, once you take one or two out of here, put it into there for your, say, your kit. Then you can just keep these two together in your car kit. You can also get things like spare curved needles for suturing or whatnot, or sewing up things. It does make it easier. These are a little smaller gauged ones that had a little bigger eyes. I saw those. They were like a couple bucks. So it's not like it's going to set you back a lot. And then if you really want to go inexpensive and save yourself some money, there's a kit like this. Let's take it out of this right here, because what I liked about this, and the only reason I got it is it has all the basics in just a little thin tin like this. So along the idea of this, in fact, it almost would fit in there, but you've got, the nice thing about this, we're talking about gross motor skills. Besides it, you slide it, let's see here, there we go. You slide it open like that, and I don't want to spill it everywhere, but the nice thing about it is you got one safety pin in there. You could maybe put one larger one in there and it'd still close. Every one of those needles is already looped up, so you don't have to loop it onto a little bit of thread. This is meant for just repairing buttons or various things that you might need to repair. It's got a couple little light duty buttons in there. This isn't something I would consider as good as the heavy duty ones like this, but it's also an option. I think that's a good idea right there to have. And that was only like $2 or something like, yeah, I think it was $2. And it has a 9-piece sewing kit is what they call it. Now, you can also get things like this. You'll see at any of the sporting goods stores. This is one I've had for a while. As you can see, I haven't really used this yet. I have another one that I've used quite a bit actually, because this is what I keep around the house. So for your around the house preparedness, as you can see, this thing's got a bunch of things in it. It's got a thimble in it, and it's not very expensive. Of course, if I can open it, it's probably taped shut. Hate it when they do that. Oh, there it is. Get that tape off of there. Okay, got it. So it's got safety pins. Now it's got a nifty, thrifty device in here that I kind of like, and that's a needle threader. Right, so you put this through the needle, grab the thread around it, pull it through. That's a handy little tool to have. If you're a sewer, you know what that is, especially as you get older and you can't see as much. Got your little scissors here for cutting the thread. Got a thimble, got all assortments of buttons and safety pins and snaps, and a good variety of small needles. This would be for your light duty stuff that you'd have around the house. I mean, you got to think about it. If things have broken down and the supply chain has, you know, gotten a little bit, well, expensive or not fulfilled, right? You have a nice little kit like this to keep around the house. This is one you just keep at the house so that you have. I get into mine all the time. Just in fact, for this wedding, the tie I was wearing, you know, the little loop where you put the other piece of your tie in there so it doesn't look like it's two ties, right? That you slide it into, well, that was ripped off on one side. So I was able to stitch it really quick and still made it on time for the wedding, right? I was almost late, but I still made it. And it was because I had something like this that was available and ready to use, right? And that's what preparedness is about. Being ready to use. I got to put those scissors back in there. And speaking of that, whenever you use your stuff, make sure to put it back where you got it from and all the pieces back in there so that you don't have to worry about not having it when you need it. Now, talking about more of a stronger thing, something you should have, well, let's talk about this first right here. So one thing I use with these heavy duty needles a lot for my actual kit or gear fixes, because I want them to last and be strong. I use this to fix my dog collar stuff and all kinds of stuff like that, is a heavier gauge thread like this. This is a braided cord. It's called nano cord, and they sell it at the Army surplus store. But if you're looking for it, just look up nano cord, and you get it in two sizes. This is the 0.75 millimeter, so it's the thinner one, and I like this one. I use this one quite a bit because It's super strong. Once you fix something with this, it is not going to break again. It's almost like mini paracord, right? You also can make a little spool of it that you keep in with your sewing kit, or you can keep a little bolt of it in your gear for tying up a shelter, right? And in fact, for tying up a shelter, it works real good if it's the thicker model. This one right here is the 1.18 thickness, and as you can tell, it's thicker, right? If you can see the difference in those right there. This one right here is a great cord. It's a little on the spendier side, but for if you had to build a shelter or you know, string up, it'll hold up for doing a tarp. I mean, just about anything you want to do with it, but is nowhere near as bulky as paracord, right? But almost as strong when it comes to tying things together or lashing them together, right? And this stuff right here, let's see how much is in this roll. If it says, doesn't say how many feet, but as you can tell, there's I mean, and I've used a bit of it. They come full. This one's more full, right? But there is just a lot in here, right? So you can do a lot of lashing like that. Or you can carry this stuff, the Uncle Max Sportsman's Utility Cord, right? I think you've all seen this in sporting goods stores, army surplus stores, whatever. It's $5 or $6 for a thing. It's a spool of cord. It's a lot like snap line, but stronger. This stuff is a great braided cord. You can use it as bank line. It's 100% Dacron polyester. There's 200-pound test and 100 feet of it. This is a great thing to have in your packs, not as big for as amount of footage as you get as paracord. I still think you should have some paracord because, as you guys know, you can break that down into smaller threads, use it for lashing and things like that, for fishing line, whatever. But this is more for building your structure or your shelter and whatnot with, things like that, right? But it also works handy for repairing gear, backpack, thing like that if you needed to. So that's a good thing. And at the dollar store, we can't forget the dollar store, there is a package. Now this is just one spool. This is a wire, and it comes in, it has like a red one, a green one, a black one, but it's a wire that you can use for making snares, making repairs, right? Fixing things up if you need to. It's definitely something handy to have at least one spool of this in with your kit, right? So that being said, there we are. We've got our wire, our nano cord, our snare wire, and our sewing kits all shared with you guys. I hope that helps you guys when you're out and about. Walmart, Army Surplus Store, internet, and the dollar store. All things you can find, all things that'll work for you. So until next time, be safe, be secure, always be aware of your surroundings, and be getting ready and prepared for anything that may come your way. Until next time, adios and aloha.